was here. He said that this place and my ranch really is Indian land. And I said, no, it isn't. I says, I got this land, some of it I bought from homesteaders, and my dad homesteaded some of it. And they homesteaded it from the United States government. And the United States government bought it in the Louisiana Purchase from the French, so if you have an argument, go argue with the French. They sold it.
In 1803, Thomas Jefferson purchased the Louisiana Territory from Napoleon Bonaparte in France. At that time, the 13 states along the eastern seaboard, and then they purchased the Louisiana Territory at more than doubled the size of the United States. At that time, the western part of the United States had been conquered by Spain, but the middle part had been conquered by France. How can anyone really say there were treaties when they purchased it in 1803? Yes, there was a piece of paper that was a treaty in 1868, and there was another piece of paper in 1851, and there was some papers in 1825 and 1815, all the way back to 1805. But the fact is, Thomas Jefferson purchased it in 1803.
But that's what the history goes back to clear 1492 up to now. So Indian people or nations or whoever know about it. These are because France knew in 1803, March 3rd of 1803, all tribes went under their jurisdiction. So we become wards. Today we're still wards of the federal government. Nothing changed. We've been Americans since 1924. We've been Americans since then. No one knows anything about those things. And today it still never changes. It's policy, not law. We're still wards of the federal government, United States government.
1889 is when they created the Pine Ridge Reservation, the Rosebud Reservation, and the other 8 Sioux reservations. They again diminished the earlier treaty that had established the Great Sioux Reservation. Was a large territory. Then they made it smaller again in the 1889 Act, and that was also the same day as the Appropriations Bill, and it was March 3rd, 1889. And they opened the rest of the territory that had prior to that been acknowledged as the Sioux Territory, opened that to settlement. This was 2 years after the Allotment Act. More white people were coming in and getting land, and they wanted to encourage more settlers to come and take the land. And once the white people got the land, of course, the white people could be taxed, because the Indian land, they don't pay taxes on the Indian land. So again, it's a system to transfer the title, but also, I think, for the funding, property taxes, funding aspect of it. So 1889 is important. That's when they created these reservations.
Yeah, it's in there black and white. But March 3rd of 1871, they put us as POWs here, established by the Venice Affairs, it says. And from then on, we are all just to give us this little government, because this is a government. But still they give us a U number, a number. The number from East Coast to West Coast, as when they come here, Pine Ridge is 344. Then in Treaty 68 Treaty, they have the allotment, allotted land to the people, 60 acres, 80 acres, whenever 360 some acres. But then 34 Act came, they put a stop to those. So now we have a U number. This say it's unallotted land. So then they give us enrollment number that says. So 344 is a Pine Ridge Reservation, and then my number is unallotted land is U15584. That's how Secretary of Interior recognized me. 344 U15584. That's a prison number. Because 1924 they made us citizens of the United States. We've been Americans since way back then, but our grandpa didn't know nothing about it. So we have 2 identities. We're prisoners, and again we're Americans since 1924. We became Americans. So we have 2 identities. And anybody enrolled as a member, but then they give them a number two, so just like they're prisoners too with us. But no one understands those things. We're all prisoners here. Have a council meeting till July, but they never help us anyway. So that's why I'm sort of letting the truth out. So they own the land, so they don't have to do anything for us. They sign treaties. They don't mean nothing because they own us. They bought it.